What's up, guys? It's Raw from Heroes Avenue. Happy Monday. And in this video, we're going to be talking all about a true Hollywood comeback story. And what am I talking about exactly? Well, a Vanity Fair article came out this morning that gave us some brand new looks at Zack Snyder's Justice League, as well as told some stories from behind the scenes, from the man himself, from Deborah Snyder, from people around the production, and give us a whole new look at the story behind Zack Snyder's Justice League. And in this video, I'm going to talk all about what stood out to me in this article, as well as talk about the images. What exactly are we going to be talking about today? Well, today's topics are going to be, first off, the new images. We're going to talk about why Zack Snyder never saw the theatrical cut. Of course, we have to talk about Autumn Snyder, how I view the Snyder Cut fandom, because this article does paint kind of a bad picture in some regards about the fandom, and also a sabotage that Zack Snyder saw coming and what he's doing to make sure he has full creative control. So that's all of the things we're going to be talking about in this video. I don't know how long it's going to end up being, but make sure to strap in because there's a lot to talk about. So before we get started, please do like the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And thank you guys for doing that. A lot of you who just joined, welcome aboard. So let's go ahead and get started. So first thing we got to do before we get into the story of Zack Snyder's Justice League and this article that was penned really well for the most part by Anthony Breznican. I hope I'm saying his name right, Breznican. Let's go ahead and first talk about our first topic. Our first topic, of course, are the new images. And the new images, here's the article. Let's take a look at the images. So when I woke up this morning, the first thing I saw on my Twitter feed was this. It was a Christ-like image of the Joker, and I was absolutely blown away. I was like, is this real? What is this? So I started scrolling through the timeline, of course, and I realized this is actually a real thing, and it's absolutely amazing. I guess it's getting hate, not on my timeline, but people are talking about what other people are saying about it. I think it looks awesome. I think it's a brand new look to the Joker that we've never seen before outside of the comics. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a comic book artist who drew a Joker similar to this, and he kind of gave this props too. So I think it looks amazing. What are we going to get out of the dialogue from this scene? I am not sure, but I cannot wait. I'm even more hyped to see this. How many looks of the Joker are we going to get in this movie? It looks amazing. So we also get Cyborg in the mocap suit, or Ray Fisher in the mocap suit. And of course, this is probably taking place in the Nightmare timeline because of the setting itself. This looks like the hallway that Superman was walking down. It's obviously the hallway we saw Joker in, and Joker's going to be in the Nightmare scene. So we got that, and we got, of course, an incredible look at the Nightmare Batman suit. So awesome, and it looks like it's the original Cal from BVS. So if this was a reshoot, then man, I'm so glad they brought back this Cal because it's so amazing, and Ben Affleck looks so menacing in it as well. And we also got an image of Amber Heard's Mara, who's supposed to be a part of this Nightmare sequence as well, in place of in place of Wonder Woman. Of course, we know in this timeline a lot has happened, a lot is not given to us, but hopefully we get a lot more context when we actually see the movie, because Amber Heard, I heard she looks awesome in this movie. The Atlantean suit that she's in looks awesome. I'm so happy to see these images. I think they all look amazing, and we get some more looks from Zack Snyder's Justice League in the article. So I'm curious to know what you guys think of these images. I think they look absolutely amazing, and it gets me more hyped to see this movie. And it's funny, a lot of the images were floating around Twitter, and people were just reacting with images from Justice League, like this one, this Batman image right here, just to contrast how ridiculous his version looks compared to what we're gonna get on March 18th. So let me know what you guys think of these images, guys. I want to go ahead and get into this article. Again, it's by Anthony Breznican, and I highly suggest you guys give it a read because it is incredibly dense. There's so much to talk about in here, and it really lays out the story from a few different perspectives. But I do have an issue with some of the perspectives that were in this article, so we'll talk about that as well. So first off, this, like I said in the thumbnail here, it's a true Hollywood comeback story, and it's really this article kicks off with something or a really amazing story. Now, here's the title of the article: Justice League, the shocking, exhilarating, heartbreaking, true story of the Snyder Cut. And it is all of those things. And so let's go ahead and get into the first topic. So the first topic is why Zack Snyder never saw the Justice League version of the movie. And the first thing the article actually goes into is the fact that Deborah Snyder and Christopher Nolan first saw this movie. They sat down at a private screening before Zack could see it. And I'm going to read a quote from the article here. It says, after their private screening of the Whedon Cut, Nolan and Deborah Snyder emerged into the light with a shared mission. They came and they just said, you can never see that movie, Zack Snyder says during lunch at his Pasadena office, a modernist series of cubes jutting from the hillside that overlooks the Rose Bowl. Because I knew it would break his heart, his wife, Deborah Snyder, adds. So, also says here, that might seem overly dramatic. It's just show business after all, but the Snyders' hearts had already been through a lot. The battle over Justice League was agonizing, but it wasn't the worst thing that had to happen to their family that year. It's not even close. So we're going to talk about Autumn Snyder, of course, in just a second, but let's just talk about the fact that, I had not known. I don't know if that information was out there before, that Christopher Nolan sat down at a private screening with Deborah Snyder to see the movie. I had assumed Deborah Snyder hadn't seen Justice League, but we're finding out that Christopher Nolan, the man who kind of recommended and appointed Zack Snyder to his role as this DC visionary architect, right? He got to see it, and he and Deborah came out collectively and said, this was a piece of shit, basically. You cannot watch this. All the hard work that you put in to this universe in the past 5-6 years of your life, it's going to devastate you just how bad this movie is. And there's a quote later on. Let me see if I can find it. There's actually a quote from an executive that actually chose to remain anonymous. So let me see if I can find... So here's a quote from the article. It says right here: Whedon rewrote and reshot about 3/4 of Justice League, and from what Snyder can gather, when fans ask him about the details of that movie that bears his name, he usually has no idea what they're talking about. Worst of all, for Warner Brothers, Whedon didn't exactly save the movie. Here's the quote: when we go to see what Joss actually did, it was stupefying, says a studio executive who requested anonymity. The robber on the rooftop, so goofy and awful. The Russian family, so useless and pointless. Everyone knew it was so awkward because nobody wanted to admit what a piece of shit it was. And yes, so this, it was kind of obvious why Zack never wanted to see the movie, right? What I just spelled out right there, you didn't need the article to tell you, but the details of Christopher Nolan having seen it and Deborah Snyder having seen it together and them collectively coming out with a mission to make sure Zack never sees it is just really telling of how bad they thought of the movie. And, we don't need them to tell us because the movie is bad, especially in contrast to what we're seeing could have been. So, the article goes into now the deepest of tragedies in Autumn Snyder. And of course, there's a lot to talk about in terms of Autumn because she is in many ways the start of a downward spiral for Zack. And again, the article goes into great detail about it. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about Autumn Snyder, and obviously this is a huge portion of the article and a really significant portion of the article because it was really the start of what was kind of a downward spiral for Zack, and for many people, as fans, it was also a downward spiral in a way different capacity though. So I'm going to go ahead and read portions of the article. Again, highly suggest you check it out yourself. So here on the article it says, for the director's devotees, it's a Hollywood ending for a Hollywood story, but for the truly devastating thing that happened to Zack Snyder and his loved ones in 2017, there can be no fix, no do-over. In the theros of the conflict with Warner Brothers, the Snyder's 20-year-old daughter, home from college and in the middle of a long struggle with depression, took her own life. Their daughter's death was the reason the Snyders walked away from Justice League, realizing their fight and spirit was needed at home with their other children and with each other, rather than in a losing battle with a powerful studio. Now she is in the main reason he decided to come back. At the end of the movie, it says, "For Autumn." Snyder says, sitting in the shadows of a darkened editing suite, frames from the movie frozen on the screens around him. When he talks about his daughter, the otherwise scrappy, exuberant 54-year-old filmmaker always looks away. Without her, this absolutely would not have happened. So Zack and his then wife Denise Weber adopted Autumn when she was a little over one, he says, smiling at the memory of her wild injury, still an infant but crazy. More than 3 years after Autumn's death, Snyder slips between the past and present tense when talking about her. She's the only dork, he says of his family. She was the only fan. The rest of them, he shrugs. Today, Eli's interested in filmmaking, but Autumn was the only one of his children who matched her dad's kid-like enthusiasm for gods, monsters, aliens, and superheroes. She's super creative, he says. She was a writer. She was at Sarah Lawrence to be a writer. First of all, there's a little bit more detail in us getting to know Autumn Snyder. Autumn Snyder is, a lot of us never knew her personally, of course, us being fans, but we just know that a lot of us can relate to Zack and the fact that many of us have lost loved ones to suicide. And it actually pains me to read this as well, because, Darren and I, maybe a year or so ago, lost one of our best friends to suicide. So I can really relate to this next section right here. It says, Autumn had been in therapy and on medications, but the depression remained brutal. She was always wondering about her worth. What is my worth? What am I supposed to do? What am I about? Snyder stumbles on his words, his eyes glassy. The conversation was like, of course, you're amazing. What do you mean you're worth? You're worth more than anything in the world. And she would just be like, yeah. The article goes into a little bit more detail into Autumn Snyder, what she was about, what she was doing with her life, and her interests. So that was it was just really powerful to read that. So Autumn Snyder, of course, a person that the fandom has raised $500,000 for. I think the article spells out the exact number, but that will lead us into how I view the Snyder Cut fandom, because this article actually goes into different perspectives on how people view the fandom. Again, we've done, me being a part of it, we've done so much amazing things in terms of raising money, and a lot of the architects of the Snyder Cut movement has done amazing things. But this article, if I was to criticize it in one way, it would be that it was an incredible article, although it gives a microphone to a person who's been incredibly critical of Zack Snyder and the fans, and just literally kind of generalizing a lot of the fans out there. So I will say that I'm trying to find the exact, I can't find the exact quotes that she had, but basically where this article goes wrong is it gives a microphone to this person who's actually getting smashed on Twitter right now. The fandom is really going after her because of what she said in this article. I'm not going to give her name out because I don't need that negative energy right now. So I just want to go ahead and talk about how I view the Snyder Cut fandom. And again, where I think this article goes wrong or goes astray is where it gives a microphone to a person who kind of generalizes and criticizes the fandom or the fan community of the Snyder Cut. And it really, I think it's something that was really unnecessary for this article. We all know that fan bases, sections of fan bases can be toxic, can be really, not friendly in their approach to demanding what they want or what they want to see from a studio. So some of that stuff can go without saying because that exists in every fandom. So I didn't think they need to give a microphone to someone who was, had a bias against us already. But how I view the fandom is really, really greatly summarized by this section of the article that says this. As for the fan base, the Snyder movement has contributed $500,000 to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Through donations, sales of merchandise, and auctions of props, people have been saying Oh, they attack people, says Deborah Snyder, her eyes tearing. But this fan base has saved lives. As much as they wanted something for themselves, they've come together for this amazing cause. You feel so hopeless trying to help someone and you don't know what to do. It's literally life or death. And I felt like we didn't really know where to turn. And that's exactly the perfect way to kind of encapsulate the fans right there. You know, we came together collectively because we wanted to see the Snyder Cut, but also we wanted to help Zack in his time of need, because it's a thing that we could all relate to, as I said before, you know, losing someone to suicide, which is such a horrible thing. I remember early on in the fandom, the community that this channel has been a part of for such a long time was just so accepting, and it was just literally all positive energy in terms of getting what we wanted, just, you know, talking about why we wanted to see the Snyder Cut released, and you know, knowing all the stories from behind the scenes with the old regime of Warner Brothers, we really started to understand and realize what was holding us back. So we went at them directly. We knew what we wanted. So you know, our approach was to be unyielding in terms of what we wanted, and in the process, we started helping out a great cause. So everyone who's a part of the Snyder Cut fandom, everyone who's contributed, like Zack likes to say, you guys have saved lives, and I like to take a lot of pride in that. So I just didn't think they should have gave a microphone to someone like that in this article, because it goes without saying in any fandom, you know, there's no bad or worse that happens in Star Wars, Marvel, other sci-fi movies. There's always people that are going to act inappropriately, and it goes without saying, you shouldn't act like that. So, you know, that's what I think of the Snyder Cut fandom. I view us as family, and I think it's a time of celebration. We don't even need to attack that lady anymore. I know some people are going at her pretty hard, getting blocked on Twitter right now, but I just think we already succeeded. We won. It's time to celebrate. March 18th is going to be a glorious day. So the last couple things, a sabotage that Zack saw coming. Now I'm going to see if I can try to find this in the article, because there is a yeah, here it is. It's an interesting story. It's not exactly right here, but I'm reading it off of my notes. It says, here's the story. It says, when Snyder left Warner Brothers, he took his laptop, which was emblazoned with a Justice League sticker on the hard drive, was his original nearly 4-hour version. It was devoid of visual effects, music, and all fine-tuning that make a movie a movie. It was also in black and white. To him, it was a memento. He thought we would just, you know, show it to random people who stopped by, like our friends or whatever. And he says, initially, Warner Brothers just wanted to release the raw footage from his laptop. I was like, that's a no. That's a hard no, he says. And they're like, but why? You can just put up the rough cut. Snyder didn't trust their motivations. Smart for Snyder. He says, I go, here's why. 3 reasons. One, you get the internet off your back, which is probably your main reason for wanting to do this. 2, you get to feel vindicated for making things right, I guess, on some level. And then 3, you get a shitty version of the movie that you can point at and go, see, it's not that good anyway. So maybe I was right. I was like, no chance. I would rather just have the Snyder Cut be a mythical unicorn for all time. And I love that story because Zack called them out on their BS. He sees this type of sabotaging behavior a mile away, and I thought that was awesome that Zack pointed it out in this article, and I'm sure some of the people at Warner Brothers are seething behind their screens right now after they read that. So Zack Snyder, last topic of the day, Zack Snyder did not get paid to do this movie. He says, or it says in the article, Snyder estimates that it costs around $70 million to undo Whedon's redo. For that, HBO Max gets 4 hours of hotly anticipated programming and the Hollywood comeback story of a lifetime. Snyder himself gets nothing. I'm not getting paid, he says. He was paid the first time, of course. This time he wants creative control, and foregoing a fee helped. I didn't want to be beholden to anyone, and it allowed me to keep my negotiating powers with these people pretty strong. So, wow, that's just amazing, the fact that Zack is holding his pay. At this point, it's about, it's It's about rebuilding his story. It says it right here. Rebuilding the story he had always envisioned is what invigorates Snyder the most. He can go as deep and as dark as he likes. He can say to hell with DC's official timeline for the characters and let this alternate version of Justice League story wind up wherever he pleases. He has put Superman in a sleek black suit instead of iconic red and blue. He's added the Joker. He has reshot the ending with a hero cameo that will blow hardcore fans' minds. Now I know a lot of people are talking about Green Lantern, but I mean I know. Ryan Reynolds denied it on Twitter already. I'm thinking it's going to be Martian Manhunter. If you have an idea of who it might be, let me know in the comments. But yeah, so he ends it with the director is also laying in some deeply personal elements. The movie closes with Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, performed by Alison Crowe, a friend who also sang at Autumn's funeral. It was Autumn's favorite song. Now it's an elegy to her. So I'm going to end it right there. Just an amazing story that Zack Snyder has lived through and that we've all lived through as a part of the Snyder Cut fandom. And it really feels surreal that the movie is actually going to be released. But I think this article, for the most part, does a really great job of summing up the story of the release the Snyder Cut, hashtag Snyder Cut, or hashtag Zack Snyder's Justice League story. It's a really great story, minus the addition of, the whole toxic fandom discussion in the article. I thought it was a really great one. And it came with some really amazing images, and it really hit on a personal level to me. So I'm curious to know what you guys thought of this article, or what you guys think of the pictures, or is there anything in this article that you truly related to or truly wanted to talk about? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching. I know it's been long. Thank you for staying through. If you did stay through, really appreciate if you like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks, guys. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.